Hello again, Struck12. Today I'm bringing you another build video for Torchlight 3, and this one is for the Dusk Mage class with the Electrode subclass. I bring you Absolver Zealot 2.0, which is a rework and update of my Absolver Zealot build from August. And there have been some changes in the game that allowed for some more flexibility, some new items, some new sets, some new mini sets, and I've tried to rework the build to include some of those new things and offer you some examples. As you might remember from August, this is the Absolver Zealot. I was using the Molten Reach. And I wanted to use the Molten Reach to get that extra special effect of entropy with the extra projectiles, but I couldn't get it ever since the game launched. So for the past 3 months I've been unable to get this item. So this one unfortunately would not have the Molten Reach, but thankfully I have recordings of the old build, so you could at least see what I wanted to achieve, what effect I wanted to achieve by being able to cast entropy and while it's traveling to use Absolver. So I've included 2 item granted skills, Imbue Relic and another one that's optional, you don't have to use it, which is the teleport, the cold snap from the Winterweave gauntlets. Imbue Relic you get from the Ancient Ember boots, and it allows you to refill your energy from 0 to 100. And it's amazing because when you combine it with the Lil General, you get a buff for damage, for casting speed, and for damage reduction. So every time you use Imbue Relic you get that for a few seconds, and it's amazing because you stack that casting speed with some other sources of casting speed. And Light Spear is something I've used, but it's optional. You don't have to use Light Spear if you don't want to. So basically where I have the teleport and Light Spear, those are modifiable, interchangeable slots, optional. You can put whatever you want there, but I strongly suggest putting something with a cooldown so you can keep the infused, mana infused buff on. So the skills for this build are very flexible, but I will go through the ones that I think are crucial. So you don't have to go 8 points Absolver, but for this build I would strongly recommend doing it with Absolver. If you don't like Absolver, you can go Radiant Blast or Holy Fury or even Holy Bolt and maybe using Arc of Light. So I would put 4 points into Light Spear, 4 points into Holy Bolt to boost the damage of Absolver, and 8 points into Absolver. If you want, you can even put 10 points into Absolver to over level it. It's actually doable. So let's move on to the dark skills. Again, you don't have to use entropy, but for this build I want to use entropy the way it is. I'm trying to keep it as close to the original as possible. If you don't want 8 points entropy, if you don't want to use entropy, you can put 8 points into energy spike and either keep the 4 points into entropy for the crit chance or just remove those and put them elsewhere. So 8 points entropy, I mentioned why, huh? Energy spike you want tier 2 for the harmonic form duration. Shadow step you want tier 2 for the increased mana regeneration. Unholy Bolt you want tier 2 for the dark skills damage. If you don't want dark skills damage, of course you can remove those points, that's optional. The same way if you don't want light skills damage, which I don't suggest removing, you can remove the light skills damage. And tier 2 Dark Spears for the cooldown reduction, which now after the Snow and Steam update applies to everything that has a cooldown, including things like Cold Snap, like Imbue Relic, any item granted skills, including your Dusk Mage skills, and even the barrier. This one gets 2 seconds shaved off. So things that I've been asking for have been done. I was actually only asking for this to reduce the cooldown of this skill, but they made it even better by making it reduce the cooldown of item granted skills. So what do we have next? Next we have the Electrode side of things. Ignore this 1 point, but I think it's actually a good point if you don't have enough item granted skills. For example, you can do something like this and play that way. So 5 points here, 5 points here, 5 points here. Actually, I don't have 5 points here, but you could go ahead and put 5 points if you don't want to level certain things the way I mentioned. So right now I've got 3 points here. I can remove this point and put 4 points here actually. So Conjure Electrode, this is kind of like one of the centerpieces of the build. You can do a build where you're going 10 points localized or 10 points chaotic strikes, but this is just a different build. I'm not saying that this is better than going 10 points localized or 10 points chaotic strikes. I'm saying that it's just fun, it's nice, and it gives us 25% casting speed with the tier 3 bonus, which by the way I think is super unfair. I think tier 1 and tier 3 bonuses should be combined into one bonus, whether it's all of them, both of them at tier 3 or both of them at tier 1, and I think they should add something new to Conjure Electrode. So for example, they can move the attack speed at tier 3, or they can move the casting speed down at tier 1 and then add a new bonus, whatever it could be. I think it would be much better that way. So this one, it doesn't seem like a very strong skill, but when you start using it you would see how strong it gets, especially when you have Imbue Relic. Keep in mind the casting speed limit is 60%, anything above 60% is a waste. So casting this thing twice gives you 50%. Casting this thing once and this thing gives you 50 plus 25. Casting this thing twice and then using Imbue Relic, if you have Lil General, gives you 25% from the Lil General, another 25 and 25 here. That's okay. Or if you use Imbue Relic once and then cast this twice with the 100 relic energy you would get, that also gives you 75, which is the cap at it caps at 60. So there's ways how you can be flexible, or you can use Imbue Relic and use 1000 volt burst without using Conjure Electrode, and then when 1000 volt burst is over, then use Conjure Electrode. There's many ways to be flexible with casting speed, as long as you know that 60% is the limit. Sometimes you would see I'm not doing it properly and I would use this twice and then use this, which obviously would be a waste because I can't get 100%. Sometimes I'm even using 125%, which is kind of pointless, but yeah, this is one of the major sources of damage. Unfortunately right now I don't have much chance to shock. My only source of chance to shock is here, because my weapon is shitty and doesn't have chance to shock, but I really needed the North Mace so I can trigger the Frostwall, and by the way that's not what they look like. This is what the Frostwall looks like, and this is what the North Mace looks like. Maybe I should just keep that here for the gear segment. Maybe I should just keep that there as well. So yeah, this is kind of explanation of why you would want extra chance to shock, because this one, the more chance to shock you have, the more you would see this proccing. 10% is obviously insufficient, and I'm not sure why they nerfed this so much. It should have been like on the other relics where you get up to 25% when you max out the passive. So as I mentioned, Walkaway Storm, you can put it if you don't have things like Cold Snap, or if you don't need Light Spear and things like that. You can put Walkaway Storm, and that's another extra 25% damage you can use. For example, you can do Conjure Electrode 2 times, then you can use this, and then you can use this if you have Imbue Relic. So I can use Conjure Electrode, I can use Imbue Relic, then I can use Walkaway Storm, and then I can use this if it's ready, or do another Conjure Electrode, or keep that damage buff. There's many ways to be flexible with it. You could also put points into Energizer. I personally don't think Energizer is needed if you have Imbue Relic on a cooldown as low as mine. You can get it as low as 30 seconds with just the North Mace or the Glacier Edge together with the Frostwall. So getting that 50% makes it from 60 to 30 seconds cooldown, and to get it even lower, right now it's only possible on a Dusk Mage with this 10%, which should get it to 24. No, to 26, because you get... No, actually it is 24. You get it to 24 because you get another 6 seconds shaved off. I have it to 21 because I think this shield is getting a bug because of the challenge bonus. I think the challenge bonus is increasing the cooldown reduction. And instead of 50%, it's 50 something percent, 54.25% or something like that, which is kind of weird, but yeah, that's how it works. So yeah, here on this thing and on this thing you can put other things. For example, one good very cheesy example is putting Consecration in Spirit Well. And Consecration, you can see, gives you damage for each ally in the circle. It gives you 35% damage, and then you can get up to 5 stacks of 15, which is 75% damage per ally in the circle. So if you have 5 Spirit Well minions, you can get those stacks. So that's probably another option, to get Spirit Well and to get Consecration for those 2 slots. They're optional. So what I would not remove is Dark Spears, Conjure Electrode, Shadow Step, Entropy, Imbue Relic, 1000 Volt Burst and Absolver. And those would be the flexible things. And I would be making another build with Unholy Bolt instead of Absolver and with Radiant Blast instead of Entropy. For those who are interested in something like that. That would be coming tomorrow. So that's pretty much it for the skills. Let's move on to the Legendarium. Before we talk about the Legendarium, I quickly want to mention that you need 3 pieces of the Celestial set equipped. I've got the Celestial Mask, I've got the Celestial Gauntlets, and I've got the Celestial Pants. From the Celestial set, there are 5 pieces of equipment that are worth it for this build. So the Celestial Mask is one, the Gauntlets is another one, the Pants is another one, and then the Cuirass and Boots are the other 2 pieces. So out of those, only the Celestial Shoulders I wouldn't recommend. And I would say ideally, where of those pieces wear 3 and SWAT 2 or SWAT 1. The one I would recommend sacrificing if you have to make a hard choice is either the Pants or the Boots. But I wouldn't do the Boots because for this build, the more mana again the better. And the more cooldown skills the better, that's why here something on a cooldown is the best thing for those 2 slots. Because look at that, it triggers mana, it triggers the mana again. See, I'm at 4 stacks just by using those things. So yes, after we said that, my Lil General, another thing that's amazing, and Lil General goes very well with Imbue Relic. And the moment I use Imbue Relic, I get the Lil General buff, which is 25% damage, 25% damage reduction, and 25% casting speed when I have 2 pieces of the set equipped, in my case Frostwall and North Mace. Which is amazing. And regarding this thing, I get this from the Winterweave shoulders, Winterweave pauldrons. Cold Snap, it's nice, I love it, but if you don't think you need it or if you don't have it, I would mention other options in the gear segment. So ideally in the Legendarium I would have Molten Reach. And Molten Reach would mean I need to sacrifice something. Which would mean I would wear Celestial Cuirass and sacrifice the Winterweave Cuirass. I'm fine losing this movement speed and this gear work as long as I can get Molten Reach in the mix, which would mean I would have to get Celestial Cuirass equipped. So my ideal Legendarium would be 1 piece of the Celestial set that is not the Cuirass or the helmet. So that would be Celestial Boots or Celestial Gauntlets or Celestial Pants. One of those 3 pieces being a Celestial in there, while wearing 3 other pieces of the Celestial, then the Lil General and the Molten Reach. And more about the gear in the next segment. Now let's talk about the pet skills. I like using Deadlier Strikes. It's crit chance, I love it, 15% crit chance is pretty nice. Although now with overpowered gear you can get sufficient crit chance without needing to use this, and then in that case you might wanna either get defense or movement speed over here. Even block chance is not bad, but it caps at 40, the same way crit chance caps at 40%, so keep that in mind. I love using Healing Friendship, and I actually love using Zoomies because it goes well with the Drat Neckband, more about that in the gear segment. And I like using Battle Cry, but if you want something else, experiment, use it. This seems broken still, this seems broken still. It's hard to tell whether this works or not. And this seems broken, so I would avoid at least those 3 things. This one seems like a synergy, but it doesn't seem to happen often, if at all. So enough of the skills, let's move on to the gear segment. Now we're moving on to talking about the gear and some of the preferred roles on each SWAT. As I mentioned in the previous segment, you need 3 pieces of the Celestial set equipped. And another thing that you need is the Ancient Ember Boots. The Ancient Ember Boots give you Imbue Relic. You don't need it with the set bonus, it's fine. It would be amazing if you can get it with the set bonus, but it's gonna be very hard to synergize all the things I could suggest. I'm fine with just having the basic bonus even without being able to make 1000 volt burst recastable. But if you can make it recastable, if you can equip 3 pieces of Ancient Ember alongside 3 pieces of Celestial, that means you won't be wearing any Winter Weave. Stuff like the gauntlets of the Winter Weave are pretty nice, the Powdrons are nice, the cuirass is pretty nice. For example, the cuirass, if you're gonna use Molten Reach, you would have to sacrifice the cuirass because you would need to put the Celestial cuirass here. Something that's also nice to mention is Arc Power Pens. It would increase shock bolt damage, and this does a lot of shock bolt stuff. So it would mean that this would do 50% more damage. And not 50% weapon damage more, but 50% total. So right now I have it at 195% weapon damage, meaning I'm gonna get this to 290 whatever, close to 300 damage, weapon damage per shock bolt, if you have this with the set bonus, mind you. So again, that's gonna be very hard to get 3 pieces of arc powered, but if you wanna get 3 pieces of arc powered, I would select the pants, the shoulders, and the boots. Those are the 3 pieces I would recommend if you wanna add another 2 pieces for this. So shoulders, pants, and then maybe boots would be good. Another piece of shoulders that are not bad is the Ancient Ember shoulders. And the Ancient Ember shoulders is another thing I could recommend for the Ancient Ember boots as a combo. And then another thing from the Ancient Ember set that you might want to implement would be where did it go? This one, Ancient Ember Pants. This one is a great synergy. It would let us regain energy by using Conjure Electrode. In fact, I would have been wearing this instead of my Celestial Pants, because yeah, this gives me extra mana regeneration. It gives me extra damage. This gives me a total of 25 extra damage %. It says 50% increase to the buff, but the buff itself is 50%. So that means it makes it from 50% to 75. And then on top of that we add 100% from the gauntlet. So you would have 150 instead of 175, which is not that big of a loss. Mostly because you could get a lot of extra energy back with the Ancient Ember Pants. So Ancient Ember Pants, boots, and shoulders, definitely a good choice. It would require sacrificing and not using the Celestial Pants, but it is definitely a good choice. That would mean you can have Ancient Ember, Ancient Ember, Ancient Ember, Celestial, 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 and still have the Molten Reach and not have to sacrifice certain things. Now, from the Winter Weave set, the cuirass, the gauntlets, and the pants are good, or the cuirass, the gauntlets, and shoulders. They are good Winter Weave things that you might want to implement. This is ending up becoming very long, but there are so many new items, so much different choices that you can pick, so much variety of the things you can include in the set. Even the Winter Weave boots are definitely amazing. So the boots, the cuirass, the gauntlets, the shoulders from the Winter Weave set, and the gauntlets are nice. So basically, almost the whole set is something I would recommend. Pick whatever. I wouldn't recommend the Winter Weave mask though. But the pants are good. The gauntlets, the short, anything but the mask of the Winter Weave. If you want to pick 3 pieces, go ahead, pick whatever 3 ones you like. Now, the other set, as I mentioned in the skill segment, is the Frostwall North Mace or Frostwall Glacier's Edge. Ideally, you would have the shield equipped, so you can swat the Lil General. If you don't have a good shield, but you have a good Lil General, then equip the Lil General. You're losing defense and block, but you can just swat the North Wall in the Legendarium, and that's gonna work fine. In fact, that's gonna give you more mana again. If you have a good road to Lil General with mana again built in and extra mana again at the bottom and maybe chance to shock, that would be something amazing. That means you don't have to get chance to shock on your weapon, you can get more damage. Now, let's talk about the rows. On the weapon, you want as much flat damage as possible and including one chance to shock. So if you get here instead of basic attack damage or instead of slug shot damage, slug shot levels, you can get chance to shock and some flat damage and maybe some more flat damage. Both Phareton shock is not bad. I mean, it's better than basic attack damage obviously and slug shot damage. So if I were to change this weapon, I would put extra flat damage instead of the basic attack, and instead of slug shot, I would put chance to shock and either keep the shock bolts or add another flat damage. Here the chance to slow is not bad, but we can slow anyway, so more defense would be something I would prefer. So something with defense, block chance, defense, block chance, defense would be nice. It could be elemental defense as well. As long as you have this at least at 60, 50, even 45 is not bad for a starter and eventually grow it. But you want 45 in the physical, and then on the other ones you want at least 60 if you can. Which would mean you would need more sockets than me. I only have sockets here and here. So on the helmet you can get crit chance, it's amazing, you can get extra levels to a skill you're using, which is definitely nice, but keep in mind, in order to get tier 1, 2, 3 bonuses, you have to have at least 1 point into a skill. Because right now you can see Spirit Well, my Spirit Well is tier 1, and yes, I do get this tier 1 bonus, but I can't get the tier 2 bonus. Even if I had 1 extra point into Spirit Well, it wouldn't give me that extra bonus. That's kind of how it works from what I've noticed. So yeah, get crit chance here, maybe get mana again, it's possible, it can roll on the helmet and then get some defenses. Crit chance you can also get here. Another thing you can get here is flat damage, another thing you can get here is percent damage, this thing. And you can get percent damage to Absolver or Entropy. I would go for Absolver. So ideally you would get percent damage to Absolver here, percentage to Absolver here, percentage to Absolver here. Then crit chance here, maybe crit damage here, and maybe crit damage here. Or flat damage here, even better. And you can get crit damage in the boots. You can also get percent elemental damage, which I wouldn't suggest unless you're stacking that element on the weapon and on the other places where you can get flat. So here I think the priority on the boots would be crit damage, and then maybe I'm not sure if you could get mana again. Maybe you could get mana again on the boots as well, I have forgotten about that. But you can definitely get things like shock duration, defenses, and in the gauntlets you can also get duration to certain things. You don't need duration to certain things unless you're using Walk-Away Storm, then duration to Walk-Away Storm fits. But yeah, more defenses and relic energy cost minus relic energy generation plus. You can get relic energy cost minus and generation on the helmet as well. And here, as I said, crit damage with damage to Absolver would be the best things in the middle you can get, with maybe one more thing like defense or damage to Entropy or whatever else you get won't be bad. For the pet, I would suggest Dryad Neckband, which goes very well with zoomies, because faster attack speed means more procs for Dryad Neckband's healing. Then I would suggest Token of Rapid Bartering for farming, and maybe a Phoenix token or Token of Invigoration, which I don't think I can show you right now. Have I got either of those here to show you what they do? The Phoenix token basically resurrects the pet quicker. the token of Invigoration has a chance to reduce the cooldowns of certain skills on hit, which makes it pretty appealing to many out there. For the rows on the Drat neckband, I would suggest faster cooldown for pet active skill and attack speed, and then whatever you want in the socket. For the tokens, you want faster attack, faster cooldown for pet active skills and pet attack speed on both of those, if you can, and then in the sockets you can get cooldown to pet active skills for those. So that pretty much should cover the majority of things gear-wise. Obviously, you might wanna not go for this North Mace Frostwall and then just use blue weapons, because they're easier to get with good rolls, and then you can wife bind them and get extra stats. And that's obviously something that's fine. You're just not gonna be using this as much, which means in that case you might even remove Lil General, because you're not gonna benefit from it as much, which means then you might need to put points into Energizer to use your skills more. But this is how I played. Hopefully it's to your liking. Next, let's show you some more gameplay footage. Here we are at the gameplay segment, where I'm going to show you more of the build in action and talk about some of the ways you could rotate this build. Believe me, this is a flexible build, there's many ways to rotate it. For example, if you already have full energy, you can just start with 2 Conjure Electrodes and then start spamming Absolver. But before spamming Absolver, I would strongly suggest using some cooldown skills, such as Dark Spear, Entropy if you get it on a cooldown, such as some teleports, such as Light Spear. Things like that would really help. And yeah, then start spamming Absolver, and if needed, teleport again when it's ready, or use another skill with cooldown just to keep that mana infused up. Alternatively, you can just use Imbue Relic, do 2 Electrodes, or use Imbue Relic, and if it's ready, use 1000 volt burst, or you can combine 1000 volt burst with 1 Conjure Electrode. So there's many ways to rotate this. To get notified when I upload more content for this game or other games like this one, which would be wooters of all varieties, isometric, third-person ARPGs, wooter shooters and all sorts of wooters like that, you could subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on my content updates. And optionally, you can even join as a member of the Struck Club on YouTube as a channel member to get access to exclusive perks such as special emotes custom made by me, special badges custom made by me that represents how many months you have been a member for, as well as opt-in of editing tutorials that I can give for Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, as well as shoutouts and things like that. And I would like to use this part of the video to thank all my YouTube members and Twitch subscribers. Thank you for supporting the channel and keeping me going. Thank you also for watching this video, everyone. Keep it cool, Struck Club. Until next time, and goodbye.